saying that. Ugh. My car's making like a weird noise. Okay, weird. Okay. Hey guys, thanks so much for stopping back to the channel. My name is Jackie, and for those of you who don't know who I am Nikki's twin sister, and I have appeared on her channel about a handful of times, and today I'm back again to give you guys another video. So today I'm going to be talking about a paranormal story time. Now, this is a story that happened back when I was in high school, and it's actually a really significant story in my life. It kind of opened me up to the paranormal, spirits, the afterlife, mediums, and all of that fun stuff. So if you guys are interested in hearing more about my paranormal story time, I encourage you to keep on watching. So today I'm going to be telling you guys actually several stories about what happened to me back when I was in high school. So just to give you a little bit of background, Nikki and I have an older sister, and for the sake of anonymity, I'm going to call her Janet. And Janet was actually living with her fiance at the time, and they ended up breaking things off, and my sister ended up moving back into our house with Nikki, myself, and our parents. And I was really happy about it because I really got along with my sister and I was excited to have her back. But I did notice almost instantly, her returning to the house, there was a change in the atmosphere. And at first I kind of blamed it on, well, maybe it's just because we have another person back living with us, you know, that can change the dynamic of the household. But it was just an awkward feeling that I had that something was off. So in the beginning, I noticed little things like I would be in my sister's room, Janet's room, because she had a cat that I like to play and visit with. And when I would be in her room, the TV would randomly turn on and off. And at first, I would look around thinking I was sitting on the controller. When I would look back at the TV, I would notice the controller was on her dresser next to her television. And so I would get confused, like, well, what the heck is going on? And a lot of times I played it off as maybe this is just some old TV and, it's glitchy. But this happened on the regular basis. Anytime I would be in her room, the TV would turn on and off. Also, the volume would get really loud.
Oh, I've missed you.
And I missed you. I wish you knew how much.
Again, I would be nowhere near the remote control, and the TV volume would just start increasing to the point of like blaring, and I'd have to go grab the controller and turn it back down. And that happened pretty frequently. There were other situations where I would be sitting on her bed, again visiting with her cat, and I would almost see like a depression in the bed or feel as if someone was sitting on the bed with me. And again, I really didn't think too much about it. I thought it was a little strange, but your mind always tries to find a logical reasoning for why something seems off. So in the beginning, that's really what it was for me. I would notice things, and I definitely felt there was something different about the house, but I always tried to chalk it up to some rational reasoning for what was happening. So it started off as little things like that. And then as time progressed, things started becoming more apparent. So one day, Nikki, Janet, and we were going to go watch a movie in Janet's room. And we had went downstairs and we were gathering up a bunch of snacks and goodies that we were going to have with the movie. And we started making our way upstairs. On our way to my sister's room, Janet said she had to make a pit stop at the bathroom and she would be in the room momentarily. Well, Nikki decided that she was going to stay with Janet and I was going to go in and bring what I had in my hands into her room. So I went into her room and I set everything down, and I was just kind of sitting there chilling on her bed waiting for them to come back. Now, I was sitting in pitch black darkness, but we had the TV on, so there was a little bit of sight in the room. So I'm sitting on her bed, and a couple minutes later, I start hearing this like rattling noise. And I'm kind of looking around the room, and I notice the door handle is like rapidly shaking back and forth. And, immediately my thought process is, well, it's Nikki and Janet. They're trying to get in the room. They have their hands full of snack. And so I just hop down from the bed and I go to the door. I open it. And as soon as I open the door, all I see is nothing. If you were in my sister's room, it's really not far from the bathroom. You just kind of look off to the side diagonally, and, within 10 feet, the bathroom was there. So, I opened the door, there was nobody there, and I was just kind of like, what the heck? So I called out from her room and I said, hello? And, they responded, Nikki and Janet, they were like, what's up? And I said, where are you guys? Weren't you just trying to get in the room here? And they said, what are you talking about? And I said, the doorknob was just like jiggling. You guys weren't trying to get in? And they said, no, we're still in the bathroom. So that really freaked me out. Like, I couldn't really find an explanation for that, even though I was always trying to rationalize everything. That really, really creeped me out. And like I said, guys, when I tell you the doorknob was rattling, I mean, it was furiously rattling as if someone was trying to get in. I both heard it and I saw it. So, that was a little unnerving. And then another time I was in my sister's room. I was an annoying sister. I was always in her room or visiting with her kitty. I was in her room, she wasn't home, and I was visiting with the cat. And I remember this distinctly. It was like a summer day. I was laying on the floor because the cat was on the floor, and I was petting the cat, and the sun was beaming into the room, and it was just very cozy and warm and nice. And I ended up kind of dozing, taking a nap. I ended up dozing off. And when I woke up, I opened my eyes, and in the beam that was coming in from the window, I saw like so almost like a mouth, and it was smiling. Like, that's all I saw, and it was in this like glowing white light. And at first I was like, what the heck, like, I closed my eyes, I opened them again, and it was still there. And I closed my eyes again, I opened them, I'm thinking I'm thinking I'm seeing things. I opened my eyes again, and the smile is gone. And I didn't necessarily have a bad feeling about it. Like I said, it was very almost angelic, but it was strange. And again, my mind trying to, come up with an explanation for what I saw, it just wasn't computing. You know what I mean? There was no rhyme or reason. There was no explanation for what I was seeing. I'm going about my life. Like I said, things are happening in the house, kind of weird, but I'm just kind of like brushing everything off. Like I said, I was in high school, so I remember I had to be studying for exams, and I was trying to study downstairs in the kitchen, and there was just like too much chaos going on. There was like my mom, my dad, my two sisters. We had two big German Shepherd dogs with big personalities, and I just wasn't able to concentrate. So I told everybody, I'm going upstairs. I'm going to do this studying. I have to concentrate. I'll see you later. So I took all my stuff. I went upstairs to my room, and I made sure I shut and locked the door because I really didn't want any distractions. And in my room, I had a fairly big closet, and for whatever reason I decided that I was going to do my studying in my closet. So I was sitting there, I had my books, I was doing whatever I was doing, and shortly after I had settled in and was, paying attention to my books, I saw out of the left peripherals of my eye what looked like two shadowy legs. They were black. And I remember thinking to myself in that moment, oh, that's, Jerry. Jerry's in the room. Jerry was my German Shepherd dog. He was one of two German Shepherds that we had. And Jerry was, for the most part, all black. And typically my dogs were always with me. But, I soon remembered that I had shut and locked the door so that nobody could bother me, including the dogs. So I was in my room by myself. And instantly, when I realized that, my heart kind of sank, and I was just like, oh my God, like what? So I just said to myself, no, just pretend you didn't see that. Like, keep studying, like just focus on what you were doing. And I just started feeling really uneasy. I remember feeling just very uneasy. So as I'm like trying to dismiss what I just saw, all of a sudden I hear this noise and I look over and I see all of these CDs that I had sitting on my stereo flying off of the stereo, and it was almost like in an arch movement, and they all hit the floor simultaneously, and they're like spinning, 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 and then they all like splat onto the floor at the same time. So like I had my CDs, they were stacked on my dresser, and they just literally flew off, like I said, spin, 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 smack on the ground. I remember just completely freaking out at that point. I was like, nope. I unlock my door, I swing the door open, and I run out of my room like a bat out of hell. Like I was screaming, I was like hysterical. And I remember my dad was home and he didn't like to be bothered. He didn't like a lot of noise. And so I come running down the stairs screaming like a crazy person. And he's yelling at me. He's like, "What are you screaming about?" And I try to tell him what I just saw. And he's like, he says, "You're making it up. I don't believe you." And I'm like, why would I scream and run out of my room like that if I was making it up? But he totally dismissed it. Like nobody really seemed to care about what I was saying. And so that really, really terrified the crap out of me. And it was coming to a point where I really didn't feel comfortable being in the house. So one day, I remember it was again a summer night. I was home by myself. So, both my sisters were out. My parents had ran to the store or something. I was home by myself and I was really starting to feel on edge. And I remember I was talking to my friend Justin on AOL Instant Messenger. So, any AOL Instant Messenger people back in the day, I'm totally aging myself here. But I was talking to Justin on Instant Messenger, and I remember I had typed out this big long paragraph that I was going to tell him all the crazy shit that was happening in our house. Just as I was about to hit send or enter on the keyboard, all of a sudden I hear, and the house goes completely black. We lost power. And guys, this was outrageous because it was, like I said, it was a summer night. There was no breeze. There was no rain. There was nothing going on. It was completely calm night. And all of a sudden, for absolutely no reason, the power goes out. And the reason I was saying I was home by myself and why the power being out is so significant is because it was literally me in our family room. I had one light on and the computer. The rest of the house was dark. So it wasn't like I blew a fuse. Like I couldn't explain what happened. So instantly when the power goes out, and it's nighttime too, guys, so it's completely dark, I grabbed our house phone, the wireless phone. I ran outside and I called my parents and I said, "You guys have to get home right now. The power just went out. I was sitting in the house in pitch black darkness and I'm not going back in the house till somebody gets home." So, they were like, okay. So shortly, it took them about 20 minutes. They ended up getting back. And right about the time they were getting back, the power turns back on. So it was just freaky, freaky stuff. So finally, I had had enough. I was, like I said, I was already on edge at that point, but I was at my wit's end now. Like, I felt like I was kind of going crazy. And what was really upsetting at the time was that all of these instances that I'm talking about, they only happened to me. Like nobody else in the house was experiencing any kind of like abnormal, nothing abnormal. They were just going about their life doing whatever, and I was the one who always seemed to have like all these creepy experiences. So the one day I was talking to Janet and I told her, I said, "Listen, like, I don't know what's going on, but something is in this house and I'm the only one experiencing it. And I'm getting really upset. I'm starting to feel like I'm losing my damn mind. And, I need to do something. Like, I need to talk to somebody." And Janet, ironically, had a friend who was a psychic medium. It was her friend, but it was her friend's mother, who was the psychic. And she said, "Okay, I hear you. I hear what you're saying. I get it. I have this friend. Why don't we go and talk to her? You can tell her what's going on and maybe she can give us some answers." So I had never seen a medium or a psychic medium or anybody, no fortune tellers, nothing like that up to this point. So I was a little bit nervous, but, I was desperate. So I was like, all right, let's do it. So we go to my sister's friend's house. And we're casually, talking in the kitchen. I'm sitting down at a table. We're kind of just making small talk. And then the psychic medium comes in. And she introduces herself, and I tell her, this is kind of what's been going on. Do you see anything, or is there anything that you can tell me, what's going on here? So immediately she's like, okay, let me try and see what's happening. So she's like tapping into her like abilities or whatever. And all of a sudden she says, he's here. And I'm just like, who's here? That was like so creepy. Like she's just saying he's here. And I said, who's here? And she said, Bryce. And I didn't know what was happening at that point. I'm like, I don't know who Bryce is. I'm like, sorry, what? And so she says, feel me, feel me. I'm cold, I'm cold. The hair is standing on my arms. And I was really spooked. I was like, no, that's okay. I'm good. I said, I believe you. I believe you. And she's like, no, touch me, touch me. And I kept kind of like pulling away, and she grabbed my arm, and her whole hand was like ice cold. And I could see, the hair standing up on her arms. And I was just like, okay, like what's going on here? Like I was freaked. I was like, when she grabbed my arm. So then the psychic says, Janet, do you want to tell Jackie who Bryce is? So, unbeknownst to me, when my sister was still living with her fiance, he had a brother named Bryce. Now, I had never met Bryce. I don't know who Bryce is, but apparently Bryce was staying with my sister and her fiance because he was going through some marital trouble and he was getting a divorce. And because things were, not great at his home, he asked to come and stay with my sister and her fiance. Another little bit of information they told me about Bryce is that he used to be kind of a rebellious, troubled youth. I mean, I don't know if troubled is the right word, but, he wasn't kind of living on the up and up. For example, I guess at one point he had gotten an upside down cross tattooed somewhere on his body. But apparently he had, changed his life around. He found God. He became like a youth counselor, and he was, trying to be a better person. Another thing they told me was that Bryce had some health issues, and he was actually waiting to receive a kidney. He was waiting for a kidney transplant. And so my sister Janet proceeded to tell me that while he was staying with them during his rough patch with his marriage, one day when they were both at work, Bryce, I think, was taking a nap on their bed. And unfortunately, sometime during that day, Bryce had actually passed away. And so my sister came home from work one day and she found Bryce deceased on her bed. And then shortly after that, I don't know, a couple weeks or months after that, things ended up going south between her and her fiance. Nothing to do with Bryce. They were just on the outs to begin with. And that's when she called things off and moved back home. So now I had a little bit of this backstory as to who this Bryce person was, but I wasn't making a correlation as to why he was there. And so the psychic medium goes on to tell us that when Bryce passed, he really wasn't ready to go. He liked my sister. He, thought she was a good person, and he wanted to stick around. So he had actually attached himself to my sister's headboard of her bed set. So I guess when he passed away, they of course got rid of the mattress, but she did still end up retaining her bed frame and her headboard. And when she moved back home, those things came with her. So in essence, Bryce came with her too. So now my mind is just like, I'm mind blown right now. Like I'm trying to take in all of this information. I'm trying to make heads and tails of what they're telling me. And it was just all like very uncomfortable. And so, like I said, the psychic said that, Bryce liked my sister and he wanted to stick around. And in coming home with my sister, he seemed to take a liking to me. And that is why all of the weird, crazy things that were happening were only happening to me. At one point, the psychic said that Bryce wanted to like reveal himself to me. Like he wanted to like manifest himself into like a physical being, or in a way in which I would be able to see him fully, which really freaked me out. And I was like, no, 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 please don't do that. That would really freak me out. That would scare me. I said, I appreciate him taking a liking to me, and, that's all fine and well, but I just really don't want to see that. That would freak me out. And now going back, guys, and thinking about that time, like I told you, I saw the smile with the glow. I don't know if that was like an introduction to maybe, him trying to reveal himself to me in some way. A couple other things the psychic told us before we left was that Bryce was coughing a lot during his interaction with the medium, and he had warned my sister Janet that if she did not quit smoking, that she was going to get very, very ill. Now, my sister Janet's been smoking basically, I think, since she was 13 years old. So, she said, I've tried quitting, I just don't think I can do it. And the medium said, okay, well, just to let you know, Bryce is warning you, like, prepare to get really sick, some kind of respiratory issue, because he's showing me that he's coughing. And lo and behold, a couple weeks later, my sister ended up getting a really, really severe case of bronchitis, and she was out of work and I think really, really sick for like a month or more. Like, that actually happened. Another freaky thing that he told us while we were still there is that he was disappointed that my sister Janet wasn't using this cookbook that he had purchased for her while he was alive. My sister loves to cook, and so he ended up buying her a cookbook, and she wasn't using it or had never used it. And she said, yeah, oh yeah, he bought me that book. I couldn't even, begin to tell you where it is, since the move. I really don't know what I did with it. So the medium actually told us that Bryce told the medium where we could find this book, and we said, okay, like, we'll go home, we'll give it a shot, we'll look where he said, and we'll see if we can find the book. And lo and behold, again, we went home, she went to where he said it was, and it was there. So I mean, that was like two other freaky things that happened. He told us exactly where to look, and sure enough, that's where it was. So after all of this, the medium kind of reinforced with me, he doesn't mean you any harm. He's not going to hurt you. He really actually has a liking for you. And she also told me that I have an ability to speak with and communicate with spirit, and that if I wanted to embrace this, it's definitely something that I could start doing. And at the time, like I said, this was just a lot to take in, and I really wasn't thinking about wanting to talk to spirit. And so I was just kind of like, no thanks. Thank you, but no thank you. So with that, we went home. And I was pretty freaked out for several days. Might have even been weeks after this whole experience. Even though I knew that Bryce was not going to hurt me, and that he meant me no like ill will, or he wasn't here to harm me, it was just kind of weird actually now knowing what was in the house. And, I remember I would be going to bed and I would just be thinking to myself I was being watched all the time. And so prior to us leaving the medium's house, I did ask her, what could I do to help him cross over, or to help him transition into whatever new journey he needed to do or go through. And she told me, I could say some prayers. I could also talk out loud to him, tell him, it's okay to go to the light, go to the light. It's okay, go to the light. So I started doing that. And at first, I remember the first couple times I did it, I felt really uncomfortable and really weird. And, it was just something I had to get used to doing. But I would do it occasionally. I would, if I felt like that presence that I had felt previously before I knew who this spirit was in our house, I would say, hi Bryce, it's okay, you can go to the light now, you're free to go to the light, you can cross over, it's okay. And so I would do that, and I would also pray. And ultimately I wanted Bryce to cross over, and I wanted him to be at peace. I wanted his soul to be at peace. And I felt like he didn't need to be, here any longer. He could cross over and, rest peacefully, or, his soul could be at peace. And so I was doing this, and it took quite a long time. And I remember waking up one morning and just feeling like that atmosphere that I talked about in the beginning here, guys, the atmosphere in the house, it like completely changed. One day I remember just waking up, and it was just like lighter in the house. The atmosphere felt lighter. It felt, like I could take in a breath and just release, and whatever was in the house, it was just gone. And that's when I knew Bryce crossed over. And after that, weird things really didn't happen in the house anymore. Things kind of went back to normal. And I was almost at peace with it, because I thought, good, he's crossed over. He's, gone into the next transition of wherever his soul journey is. And, it was kind of bittersweet, but I felt good. It was like, this needed to happen. But anyway, guys, that is my crazy story time of back when I was in high school. And like I said, this was a really significant story for me to tell, because it really kind of opened up my eyes, like I said, to, you know, the afterlife, and kind of what happens to our souls, and that your loved ones do care about you, and sometimes they do want to stick around and see what's going on, and keep an eye out for you and look after you. But I'm gonna end the video here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any experiences like this, please feel free to put them in the comment section. I'd love to read them. I know a lot of people are interested in this, and I do have other stories to tell you guys. So I will try and get those videos out, here and there in the upcoming months and weeks and months. So with that, guys, I just want to say thank you so much again for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye, guys.